Hello and welcome to Tech with TG. I'm your host, Akabogo. Thank God. So um, today's episode is special. We are diving into the world of technology innovation and career growth. The guest who wears many caps. He's both an inspiration to and many because he's he's a software developer, a coach, and a career development coach. So whether you are just getting started in tech or already in tech or want to level up in your tech journey. So now here this episode is a special one for you. So let's get started. Um Omoefe, I think is the name. Did I pronounce this correct?
Mhm. Yeah, it's okay. Omoefe, it's
Okay.
correct.
Okay. Omoefe. Omoefe Bazunu's story begins with a passion for technology and innovation. So, and today we are hosting him, and we believe that he will share with us the top secret, even the most secret of all secrets that he doesn't want to share with others. Today, we are going to force it out of him. So, as we proceed, let's start with the intro. So Omoefe, please can you
Okay.
give us a little light into your bio, in a little intro of you, how you started into tech, um what prompted you to go into tech and the challenge. In fact, a little introduction of you. Thank you.
All right. You can hear me, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, go on.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. So, Omoefe Bazunu. I'm actually a founder of Aya Enterprises. Aya Enterprises is a digital solution startup. We specialize in developing websites and mobile applications cross-platform for both iOS and Android for businesses, NGO, and government institutions. Then we also provide digital marketing service and marketing and ads design service. So initially, it was not always like this. I was just a solo web developer until I decided to productize my service and make it or turn it into a full-scale business, which I actually found out to be much more better and more organized than when you work on a solo platform. Okay, so a accounting student. I hold a higher national diploma in accounting, so it was not always web development initially. I was actually following the line of career in accounting, but along the line I developed interest in tech, starting with Microsoft Excel, and then I came across a Udemy ads on Facebook that was actually offering to teach front end web development and back end web development, which is full stack. Okay, so I got the course, and that was how I got introduced to web development. Though prior to that, I've had some knowledge, some basic knowledge of web development. I have seen people talk about it or people that actually work on it, and it actually triggered that interest of wanting to know how to code. Though I didn't take it seriously until after I came across the course on Udemy, then it sparked that interest again, and that was how I got into tech. I learned a little in 2022 stroke 2023. So along the line, I lost interest, which is common for most persons that are going into web development or coding. There is that spirit of being overwhelmed, or there was that experience of getting intimidated, overwhelmed by the amount of things you have to cover or you have to learn. Okay, you have to learn this language, you have to learn this resource, you have to learn this tech stack, just so that you can become a good or a solid web developer. So I started with HTML, I got to CSS, and I got to JavaScript. It was at the point of JavaScript I lost interest, and for about a span of 5 to 6 months, I kind of went off with my interest in web development until again I came across a course on July, a free tutorial course for 8 weeks that was hosted by a company called Elabs Africa. It was actually advertised on Facebook, and that was where I took interest, applied, and they were able to revive that interest in web development again. And it was since then I've been fully focused on building websites and mobile applications. It is mostly predominantly websites we have worked on though. And from last year to this year, we've been able to attend to both local and international clients, giving them websites for their businesses, and those that are also into NGOs, non-governmental organizations, we've been able to build for them. An example is Tony Point Foundation that is based in Nsukka, UNN, Enugu State, Nigeria. So that's a brief of my journey into tech. It has been quite interesting. It has been insightful. It has also been it's a mixed experience anyway. There have been times where when you are learning, it's not working. What you are watching in tutorials, they are not clicking when you are applying them in real time. So you tend to get intimidated or discouraged. So if I would pass any motivation out there to any other web developer or someone that is just coming into tech, just be ready to actually go through a lot of stress. Be willing to commit the time, be willing to commit the effort. Don't see it as something you start today and in a week time you are done. It takes a lot of time. So be willing to be patient and also be willing to learn. Be open-minded to information. Never stop learning. Tech is not something you learn and you say you have covered it today. It's always evolving, it's progressive. So every day you need to keep upskilling, otherwise you'll be left behind. Okay, so I guess I should do for my response to the first question.
Oh, wow. Well, your let me say your journey in tech is quite interesting. It's quite an interesting one. And in fact, the thing is, well, we will still host you again. Yeah, but for
All
now,
right,
let's move on. So
no problem.
I love your story from this one to this, stopping from
Yeah.
quitting. You took courage again, yeah, and started again. So now let me say, before we proceed, let's settle this controversy.
Yeah.
Programming, software programming, development, and let me say website developing. Are they the same or different
Okay.
context altogether?
And programming basically is you giving instruction to the computer to carry out a specific task. Okay, so programming in its sense is like the general form. Okay, then when you talk of software or web development is under programming. Somebody that is programming does not necessarily or is not necessarily doing web development. There is under programming you can have machine learning. Under programming you can also have mobile app development. Okay, so programming is more like the mother that houses all these other categories. So under programming, that's where you now have web development. Okay, so when somebody says I'm programming or I'm a programmer, the person is kind of generalizing it. The person has to niche down. You just can't be a programmer. Though the convention is when you mention you are a programmer, many persons tend to think in the line of web development, but that's actually not entirely correct. So you have to niche it down, narrow it down. You are a programmer, yeah, we agree, but which aspect of programming are you specialized or are you niching on? So you have to tell them, I'm a mobile app developer, I'm a web developer, I'm a desktop app developer, I'm a AI or machine learning developer, I'm a DevOps or cloud engineer. You have to just narrow it down so that people can understand exactly which area you fall in. Okay, so that's my response to that.
Okay, okay. Well, I love how you are how you detailed everything, how you simplified it in a way that even 80-year grandma will understand. Or
Okay.
even Mama Nkechi that is selling akara will understand. So there is this mistake that is predominantly associated with beginners in tech.
Okay.
The beginners love to let me say they love to be jack of all trade. You see somebody, they will tell you that I'm a mobile developer, I'm a mobile app developer,
Yeah.
a website developer, a desktop app developer. Now, for
Yeah.
me, I don't think I'm. So, what do you think? Do you think that they are really genius for taking all of these things together, or it should be one after the other? Now,
Okay.
do you believe in specialization at first or generalization. Then, in fact, let me gather everything. What do you think of that?
And from my own perspective and experience, I think if you want to learn everything at a go, the only justification for doing that, to generalize or learn everything at a go, is when you are probably someone that you want to host a course, or you want to be like a course creator where you teach different tech skills. That's the only justification where somebody is trying to learn web development and at the same time trying to learn mobile app development, at the same time trying to learn what's it called, desktop app development, trying to gather a lot of knowledge at once. Okay, so that's the only justification, if it's even going to be justified at all. Otherwise, the ideal thing is you always start by specializing. The reason why you need to start by specializing is specialization makes you to become an expert in that area. Specialization does not mean you should not actually learn more than one tech skill. You can decide you want to learn. You just have it as a vision or as a goal. I want to be a mobile app developer. I also want to be a web developer. I want to be an AI developer. I want to be a game developer and all of that. That can be a goal. You can list it out. Then under this goal, there should be timelines. For instance, in the first 1 year, I'll be working or focusing solely on mobile app development. In the next 2 years, I'll be transitioning to web development. In the other year, I'll be entering game development. That's the ideal timeline you are supposed to give yourself if you are someone that wants to be able to wear different hats in the tech skill. But trying to learn everything at once, it makes you not to be an expert. That's where you now bring into play the jack of all trades and the master of none. Ideally or realistically, yes, you have a surface knowledge. When somebody brings up a topic on mobile app development, you will be able to comment, but you will not be able to comment deeply. There will be a level the conversation will get to. You will actually be stranded with opinions that are actually significant. You will just be talking out of probably assumptions or out of the little knowledge you've been able to gather. That's because the person that is speaking to you might be speaking from a standpoint of an expert, someone that's specialized in it. You're only speaking from the surface. You just learned it to a point and you felt, oh, I'm done with mobile app development. Next, game development. So you won't be an expert. And when you are not an expert, there's a level at which you can handle projects. Okay, when a job comes from a client, there's a level at which you can actually handle the project. You may be able to do it to start it, but on the long run, you may not be able to finish that project. Or even if you end up finishing it, there are a lot of important things that you might ignore in the process because you don't really have a deep knowledge. There are security effects or consequences that you can actually create from that involvement or indulgence in that project with your little knowledge, compared to someone that has the back and front knowledge or skill in that area. The person will be able to understand that, oh, as after completing this aspect, I'm supposed to go into this, I'm supposed to address this. The person understands every layer that needs to be addressed in that project. But because of your little knowledge or surface knowledge, it will be difficult for you to actually do something sound. That's why there are some apps or there are some websites that when you look at them, if you actually do your research, you figure out that the people that handles them, they are not really into the area that they actually decided to go into. For instance, someone that is learning web and front-end web development, the person has no business with back-end. When a project comes for full stack, the person is normally supposed to collaborate with a back-end developer that understands back-end architecture. But probably maybe because the person wants to eat the money alone, or maybe the person just feels like, oh, it's something I can do myself. Some persons want to be forward. They neglect engaging a back-end developer, and in the long run, they try to handle both front and back-end on their own, whereas they are just front-end developers. So at the end of the day, you come out with a website that the client may see that it looks okay, but there are a lot of security leaks in the background that the client does not know about, and that can actually cost the client much more than what they paid you to get the project done. It goes for the backend to their backends that has little knowledge of front end. That's why some of them, they try to handle front end, and at the end of the day, instead of engaging a real front end developer, they do it themselves, and you start looking at a website that is very, very much visually unappealing. It doesn't really look nice because the UI UX is not nice. The backend developer does not have too much knowledge of how a website should look visually appealing and interactive. He only understands better the area of backend architecture that he specializes in. So that's one effect. It makes you not to be an expert. Then two, it delays your level of learning. If it will take you like 3 months to learn front end, because you are trying to combine two different skills, maybe front end and back end, you now find yourself learning, squeezing your learning into 1 month for front end and trying to use the other month for back end. And at the end of the day, you find yourself cutting through a lot of things because you feel you are wasting time already. Oh, I'm supposed to be a full stack developer by 6 months. Why am I still on front end by now? No, 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 no. I think I will ignore these other parts. Let me move to back end already. So you now find yourself removing or filtering out important areas that you are supposed to normally have covered. Okay, so these are just some of the effects of trying to learn everything. And of course, in terms of the revenue that it will bring to you, you obviously will not be earning much. Okay, when you are trying to learn everything at once, you end up learning a little of everything and not being an expert. Experts earn more than people that just have surface knowledge. Okay, that's because people know when they see a job that is done by an expert, they know, they can perceive it, they can see it. But for someone that is doing a novice job, the person might even like, so this is what I paid for. Then there will now be the controversy of not getting your balance payment from the job. So there are a lot of things associated with trying to be a jack of all trades, and of course then the exhaustion. You get exhausted, you get overwhelmed, like the things are too much. You now give up because you feel it's a punishment or you feel it's impossible, but it was because you took up too much than you were supposed to take on yourself. That's why you are overwhelmed at that point in time. So even if you are going to try and learn everything, set a realistic timeline. Within the next 6 months, I'll be focused on this. Within that period, consider any other tech skill a distraction. No matter the amount of ads you come across online that tries to convince you to ditch backend and go to front end, and you're already in backend, ignore it, see it as a mere distraction. Focus on your backend. When you know you are solid, if they bring any project on backend, you can do it very well. That's when you now move on to front end or mobile app development or game development. But trying to squeeze in, or maybe cyber security and the rest, trying to squeeze in everything is actually not going to be good, both for yourself and for the clients you are looking to serve.
Wow, wow. Well, the thing is, this particular issue now, I've dealt with it, and it's not up to 2 weeks ago, because
Okay.
when I was when I was starting new in tech, I tried to juggle between every. I tried to do affiliate marketing. I tried to do graphic design. I tried to do video editing. I was thinking. I was thinking that, because the issue is that, of which you still talk on it, is that the issue is that there is this high high propaganda among the tech institution in Nigeria. They always make their offers very much attractive. Come learn with us in 3 months, you are already an expert. Come learn with us
Yeah,
in
I
two
get
months,
you.
you are already an expert. So I with that initiative, without their whole setup, I thought that tech is something that you jump into and jump out succeeding, without knowing that you have to. So that's why I juggled between so many. If I start listing the tech skills or tech niches that
Yes.
I've
Yes.
engaged myself on, you will be amazed. So what do you think, and what is the solution? Is it, all these tech institution with their fantasy, okay, let me call it their fantastic offer, their attractive offer, within 3 months, you are already a expert. Does it apply to those that are building or developing software or website or app? What do you have to say about it?
Okay. Like what I said before, the thing is, you should know what you are going there for. It's almost like someone that is going to the market. You won't blame the marketers when you are going to buy something in the market. Maybe you have a budget you are working with already, and you already know that there is a store, okay, or there is a place in that market that has the items that fit your budget. When you get to the market, maybe that store you are trying to get to is at the extreme end of the market. So before you get to that extreme end, you come across similar stores that sell exactly what you came for, but their prices are high, or some of them they have poor customer service, and you know already that I came with this budget and this is the store that has what I'm looking for. So it's not a question of focus. Okay, focus. You know what, focus and direction. You already know what you are looking for or what you came for. Any other thing you see along the way of trying to get to that destination, you just consider it as a distraction that you're not going to pay attention to. On their own end, it's not their fault. They are only doing business. Okay, a tech company would run ads because they are trying to get clients or customers. They are trying to get students to actually learn from them so students can enroll. That's business from their own end. They are trying to run a business to make money or to profit from it. So you will not blame those tech companies for their ads displaying on your social media platform or your news feed. Okay, that's just a regular activity that they are performing. So it's up to you to actually discipline yourself to know that, oh, even though these ads might be attractive, oh, video editing in 3 days or in 1 week, some might even tell you in less than how many hours you become a professional video editor.
Yeah,
The truth
but
is
it's
most
true.
of those
It's
things are
true.
not factual.
It's true. It's true.
Most of those
It's
claims
true.
are not really factual. They are just marketing strategies that they use to draw interest or attraction. When you even enroll for most of those things, you find out that the resources they provide for you to learn those things that will make you an expert, they are substandard resources. They don't really make you an expert. They just teach on the surface, but the market is noisy. Okay, the environment or the industry is noisy. You just have to know what you came for. You know that I came to learn mobile app development. I've done my research and there is a prospect for me to get a job from this mobile app development, or if it's graphics design, there is a means for me to get money from graphics design. I can become a professional graphics designer, or I can start a business, or I can start a company with my graphics design skills. You've done your research, you've done your calculation, you've done your income and your expense projection. You know what you are trying to achieve already. So you are simply going to that direction. So any other thing you see, if it's video editing, if it's content creation, if it's digital marketing, if it's web development, if it's cyber security, any other thing that you see along the way, you just understand with your mind that this is a distraction from where I'm going, so I should remain focused. So even if the person is saying, I made 2 million naira or I made 1 million naira in 1 month or in 2 weeks from video editing, that does not concern you. You came for graphics design, you face your graphics design. You already know that you have the prospect of earning similar amounts of money in graphics design if you stay long enough. Okay, so business actually favors those persons that are able to play the long game, not the short game. You have to stay long enough to actually see the result. It's just like farming. You don't plant today and expect to reap tomorrow. You spend a lot of time nurturing the crop until it gets to the point of harvest. So you have to exercise patience. Don't get enticed by the flyers. Don't get enticed by the income prospect from all those other courses that are being advertised to you. It's not their fault. They are just doing business. It's up to you. So if you are the type that gets carried away by video editing, by this, by that, it just means you need to work on your discipline and your focus. So once you can work on that, you now know where you are going to. You have a timeline of what and what you want to learn and when to learn them, and then you start working with that time. That's one of the challenge of most persons that are getting new into tech. They don't really have a plan. They just get into it because they've been hearing the noise of learn tech, learn a tech skill, learn it. So they don't draw a plan. They don't really know what they want. So along the line, they are just, it's like impulse buying. When you get to the market without a list, you spend your money on what you never really want to buy. At the end of the day, when the money is exhausted, that's when you now realize that, oh, what I came for, I've not even bought it. Well, I've spent all my money. That's the same thing. You start buying courses here and there, here and there. At the end of the day, you now realize that, oh, all these courses, I don't even have interest in them, or I'm unable to follow up or catch up. This is not my area of interest. But you've exhausted all your money on them already. So the money you would have used to pay a mentor to get a good course on that area you really want to learn, you don't have it anymore. So it's just a matter of focus on the part of you or the person that actually wants to get that tech skill.
Wow. Thank you so much for this one again. So let
Okay.
me take you back to the first to your to what you said initially. You said that
Yeah,
when you started learning, you started with HTML, I think.
yeah. That's
Then
for the
after
web development.
HTML, yeah. Then after it, you learn CSS, Abi.
Yeah, for styling.
Okay. So is there a permanent roadmap to all these things, or you just yeah, or is there a custom just a permanent, let me see, use a permanent, or a
Yeah.
designated
Okay.
roadmap for all
Okay.
these
For
tech
learning.
for learning all these things? Or is it that if you come into the industry, you craft your own roadmap?
Okay.
Because yeah,
Okay.
because I am there's I noticed one thing. Maybe what
Yeah.
works for you may not work
I
for
know
me.
what for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But is there rules or
Mhm.
or or requirements to follow for you to
Okay.
succeed?
Okay. There is actually no general rule. There is no place where if you start, for instance, let's use web development as a case study. When you come into web development essentially has to do with building websites using technologies that are designated for it. And there are two aspects to web development. We have the front end, which is what the users see and interact with on the website from their browser. And then we have the backend, which is what actually holds the information that the users see on the front end and interacts with the front end to provide the information. Okay, so when you come into web development, there is no website, or there is no place that you will get to and they will tell you this is how you are supposed to go, or this is the roadmap you are supposed to follow. There's no general rule. There's only an implied rule of what works. Okay, what has been working for majority of people in the industry, it now implies that this is the norm. Otherwise, there is no black and white inscription that says this is how it should be. There is just an implication that if we follow this roadmap, this is what works in the industry. And what is that? Many persons have the opinion that when you are getting into web development, the best place to start is backend. Other persons have the opinion that the best place to start is front end. There is no rule that says it must be front end or it must be back end. Some persons that started with back end, they have learned front end and they are good at it. They've turned full stack web developers. Some persons like myself that started with front end, I have also branched into back end with Firebase and Node.js and Express.js and MongoDB, and also have been able to cover and work on projects like that. So there is really no general rule. It's just that there are some ideal roadmaps, or there are some ideal process that you follow that works for a lot of persons. And the reality is, in many cases, if you ask many developers, they started with front end before they went to back end. That's not to say anybody that wants to start today must start with front end. You can start with back end. There are people that will tell you that they started with back end and they got into front end in the long run and it worked for them. Okay, but in a majority of the developers I've come across, they started with front end, and like myself too, I started with front end, then I got to back end. That's one. Then in that front end itself, okay, in that front end itself, there's also a ID roadmap. Okay, there's a ID roadmap that is almost like a standard. This is not something that is subject to opinion. It's like a standard. And what is that standard? If you are going to be a front end developer, the standard is this: you start with HTML. You start with HTML. After HTML, you now go into CSS before you think JavaScript. Although there are some persons that they just go straight to JavaScript. They are known as the JavaScript developers. They don't have much knowledge of HTML or CSS, but they are just strictly JavaScript. Okay, but then this, in the process of learning JavaScript, they still have to learn a little of HTML and CSS, because realistically, you cannot really do full JavaScript, okay, for web development without HTML and CSS, except it's not web development they learn the JavaScript for. Maybe it's game development or something, desktop app development, then I think that will be possible. Okay, but I can't be absolute on that because that's not my area. But if it's web development, you just can't go to JavaScript without HTML and CSS. It's just like this. It's like a building. You just in a building, first of all, you put the cement together. After you get the blueprint from the architect, the builders, or the people that are in charge of putting the blocks together, they put the cement, they put the blocks. After putting the blocks together, the next thing is to paint. Once they've been able to put everything into shape, the next thing is to paint the building. After painting the building, that's where you now have the, what's it called, the switch, the taps running. Okay, you can't start fixing those light, and normally they wire the house in the process before even painting, but the final touch for the lightning and the watering and the water system comes after the putting of the blocks and the painting. Okay, except for those persons that just want to rush into the house uncompleted because of some circumstance. Otherwise, ideally, you put the block together. That block you are putting together is what gives structure to the building, is what tells it that this is the room, this is the passage, this is the kitchen. That's block, those blocks you are arranging. That in web development is what we call the HTML. HTML is what gives the website, first of all, its structure. That's
Okay.
like a skeleton. Then CSS is where the painting of the house now comes in to give it beauty or to add color. Okay, so that's in web development. CSS is those colors for the text, position or layout for the shapes, then the images. That's CSS. Then JavaScript is like the light that you switch, you turn on with the switch, the water system that when you turn the tap, it comes on. That's the JavaScript aspect of web development. Those are the buttons that when you click on them, it either displays a modal, it displays a form, it carries it to another page or to an external website like that. So the roadmap for web front-end web development is HTML first, CSS next, then JavaScript. HTML takes less than a week to learn. It's very fast, but it's very simple. CSS can take you a week or two if you want to go extensively into it by learning the responsive aspect of CSS, which is media queries. Okay, then there are also frameworks, but before then, ignore frameworks, learn pure CSS. Then after the 2 weeks of CSS, you now spend like a month or more than a month on JavaScript. JavaScript is the core of front-end web development. That's what eats a lot of time. So when you've learned these 3 foundation tools or technology, the next thing you now learn is frameworks. Frameworks are, they are like built on this basic foundation to make the foundation to be easy. So there is a framework for CSS that makes using CSS easy. There are a lot of them, but the one I use and that I would recommend to anyone is Tailwind CSS. There's also Material UI. There are other forms of frameworks, but Tailwind, then there's Bootstrap, but Bootstrap kind of like is outdated now that Tailwind is in the picture. Then for JavaScript, the common one, the popular one is React. There's React.js, but there's also Angular, there's Vue.js, but the one I use also is React.js. So that's the one, if anybody comes, I would recommend to them. So once you've been able to learn the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, the next thing you now learn is the frameworks. Then alongside learning the frameworks, you also learn what they call version control using Git and GitHub. Git and GitHub, they help you to be able to store your code base or your source code, so that if anything happens to it in your local computer, you still have access to your source code. You don't lose everything. Okay, so aside that, it helps you to actually collaborate with other developers remotely, so you can be in one country or one region and you are working on the same code base with another developer in another region. That's the power of Git and GitHub. Okay, so aside that too, another thing you now need to learn in your front end journey is what we call hosting and domain setup. You need to learn how to host a website once you've built it from the front end, and also attach a custom domain name like www.thisisthis.com.ng and the rest. And then lastly, if I would also suggest, you also need to learn, though that's majorly for the backend, but still have some idea or knowledge about it. Email marketing. You need to learn email marketing, or not really email marketing, just I'll put it transactional and marketing email setup. You need to be able to, though that's majorly is mostly backend, I'll be concerned about that, but as a front-end developer, you should have some knowledge on how it works as well. And then lastly, SEO. SEO is search engine optimization. It's the job of the front-end developer to make sure that a website that you build, if somebody search for it on Google, it can rank to the point where people can see the website and visit the website from Google or other search networks. That's the idea of search SEO, or search engine optimization. So in a nutshell, there's no general roadmap, okay, especially in web development, but you just have to find out what works for you. If you are going into web development and you don't know what to pick, if it's front or back end, you can start on this level. Watch a little of front end, watch a little of back end, do your research using AI and other platforms to know what each of them entails. Then based on your own interest, see which of them you can actually persist to learn. Once you've watched a little of front end, you know that okay, this is something I can spend my time learning without losing interest. Watch a little of back end, you know that okay, this is something I can spend. So either of them that appeals most to you, you now focus on that one. You've already started creating your own roadmap. Then in that back end or front end, you now try to see what's the ideal roadmap in that area. For front end, it's always HTML, CSS, and JavaScript before frameworks and Git and GitHub.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Thank you for taking your time to explain all of these things to our audience, because
Yeah, you're welcome.
our audience are mostly beginners. So
Okay.
um we have less than 11 minutes to end the session.
All right.
So far
No problem.
it have been an inspiring one, and I would love to
Yeah.
host you
You
again.
too.
So but
Very well.
for the meantime but the, fen- but for the meantime, what can you describe the future of tech in Africa? Then the
Okay.
future of tech in the world. Then the
Okay.
future of tech in as in with the high rise of adoption of AI. Then
AI.
can you
Okay.
describe the future of tech? Will it affect tech badly, or some say
Okay.
that it will aid, it will augment
Yeah.
or help us, while some are saying
Yeah.
that it will contribute to many laying off, many
Yeah.
this thing. So what
Unemployment.
do you have to
Yeah.
say?
Okay. From the look of things, initially from Nigeria to begin with, tech is actually on the rise. Like tech awareness and tech involvement is on the rise. The level at which people are going into tech skills today is actually way more than it used to be a year ago or previous years. Okay, more people are actually getting that awareness that is beyond um career path is beyond what they went to university or college of education or polytechnics for. Even secondary school students, even before they get to higher institution, they are now getting introduced to tech, and most of them are specializing full time on it. Some of them don't even bother going into higher institution anymore because they've been able to build a living from tech. So tech is actually gaining a lot of good ground in Africa and in Nigeria. There are a lot of breakthrough innovations that are coming from tech enthusiasts in Nigeria. If you are on LinkedIn and on X, you'll find that a lot of persons are building softwares, building startups, creating a lot of innovative applications using the tech skill that they have actually chosen to learn or go into. So the future of tech in Nigeria is bright and it's actually promising and will be very impactful, okay, both to the technological advancements of the country and the world at large, and then to in terms of the economic impact. Many persons that go into tech, they tend to provide a means of living for themselves. So it reduces the number of unemployed persons. Okay,
Unemployment.
it contributes to the level of employment in the country because people are not able to build a career for themselves. So they don't necessarily need to start running around with their CV trying to look for a banking job because they graduated from banking and finance or accounting or engineering. They've been able to create a platform or an income stream for themselves. So that's with regards to the future of tech in Nigeria. But then in terms of the impact on Africa, actually, in terms of the impact of AI on tech, both within Nigeria and outside, though Nigeria is actually still way behind in terms of integrating AI into a lot of things. So the threat that many nations outside there are having from AI, it does not really apply to Nigeria in many cases because there are a lot of areas that Nigeria does not even measure up to technologically before you now even speak of AI coming into the picture. It's just that when there's this idea of Nigeria always majorly always rushing some trends, okay, even though they are not mature enough to handle it, they just rush it. Like the way the AI is booming or exploding in Nigeria, many companies are trying to integrate it. They are not ready for it yet. Okay, in the long run, those people that might seem to be losing their jobs because these companies are trying to use AI to do their jobs, the companies will be running back to those same persons in the long run because we don't have that solid technological foundation to actually accommodate AI in many areas yet. Then in terms of globally, yeah, AI is actually taking some jobs, and at the same time, AI is actually also creating jobs for many persons that are choosing not to sit down and use it as an excuse to be unemployed. Okay, AI in itself, the level at which AI is now in itself is not fully autonomous. It still needs a human aid. It still needs somebody to actually use or guide it. Okay, so that's where the human resource comes in. That's where they now start employing people that have sound knowledge of AI, that knows how to use AI for video editing, for coding, for proofreading of books, for design and the rest, for podcast creation. Those people are still very much in demand. So instead of being afraid of AI taking jobs or AI taking your job, you should be thinking of how to integrate AI into what you are already doing. How best can you utilize any existing AI tool that match your area of interest or your field of work right now? Start learning those AI skills. Go on to YouTube. You don't need to wait for a paid course. There are a lot of free resources. People are just, majority of us in Nigeria, we just have that relaxed spirit of wanting to be spoon-fed in many cases, even when the resources are there. So you go on to YouTube, you watch free courses, you learn how you can use AI in your area. If it's graphics design, think of how you can use AI for generative fill, for creating stock images, so that when you start delivering jobs, it will be faster and you get more jobs, or your jobs will look more professional on it and you get more recommendation. Okay, so but that fear of AI taking your job should not necessarily be there. Even though it's realistic, it takes many jobs. But when it takes a job, you don't expect, except you are the type of person that you are hell bent on. If it's not this one, it will not be any other one. If you were into video editing and it just so happens that you were working for a company that decides that no, we now have an AI tool we have subscribed to that will do all our video editing for us. Okay, they laid you off. Yeah, that's sad. But is that the end of the road? Is there no other thing you can pick up? Then another thing you can do, your brain is like a library, it can accommodate a lot of books. So if video editing seems to have come to an end for you, pick up another tech skill that probably AI has not come to yet, or that you can actually utilize AI for very well and start earning from it. Don't use it as an excuse that AI made you to be unemployed. If people are trying to fight, people that are trying to fight AI, it's almost like people that were trying to fight the invention of smartphones because they were so used to the traditional button phone. Is that you are trying to stagnate innovation. You are trying to tell people not to think. The reality is human being is meant to innovate and to think. Okay, biblically the Bible says God has made man upright, but he has sought out many inventions, meaning man will continue to invent a lot. Even what we are seeing with AI today is like the surface. Tomorrow it will be much more advanced than this. So you can't tell people not to think. If you tell people to not to think, you are trying to create a dormant a society. So the more people think, the more these things will keep on innovating. So all you need to do is, since you can't stop them, you join them, but in a positive way, by learning how you can utilize that thing that they are innovating or creating to your economic advantage. So that's my response to that.
Okay, okay. Well, you hit the nail correctly, because some of us are already afraid that with the emergence of with the adoption of AI, um,
Yeah.
s- many of us will be unemployed. But from what you said, I'm able to deduce that AI is not coming to take our jobs completely.
Yeah.
Rather, it's coming to help us if only we can integrate what we do with
Yeah.
AI.
Yeah.
Okay, now thank you for that little information. Then what advice can you give to beginner? Now, okay, before that, what advice can you give to your younger self? Let me now, take if we should take back the times, to your younger self, what advice can you give to your younger self? And where areas that you wished you did something like this, but you didn't. And what
Okay.
advice can you give to beginners in tech? You understand me?
Okay. Because of the time, I'll apply both to one, or I'll apply the question to both questions, to both the answer to both questions rather. So the advice or the um recommendation is this: start early enough. Okay, start early enough and be willing to persist regardless of how difficult the journey is. When you start early enough, it gives you a lot of time to make mistakes. than when you start late. When you start late, you can make mistakes that are costly because of the time you have left. Okay, so if I had actually gone into tech a lot earlier than when I did, I would have been able to cover much more than I have been able to cover now, and I would have started earning much more than I am already earning now. It will not be as difficult because I actually got into tech at a point where I was also trying to earn a living to fend for myself. That was after leaving higher institution. So I was running a business, a physical business, and at the same time setting out time to watch tutorials and practice. It can be very overwhelming. It can be challenging when you are trying to meet up with those kind of tasks. But when you are the type that probably you are still under someone's roof, or you are still being fed, or you don't have much expenses you are trying to cover, you tend to have more focus and time to actually face that tech skill you are learning. Okay, and once you are able to commit so much time to it, you learn faster than someone that probably only has 2 hours or 1 hour to watch a tutorial and practice. You have 5 hours or 6 hours to yourself. So the earlier you start, the better you are able to measure or meet up. And also the much time or room you have to make mistakes. If you are someone that is so young, maybe between the age of 19 to 20 or 21, and you are learning tech, people don't really have that. They won't really focus more on you because except you are the one that is trying to put yourself on their face that you are learning this, they may not even pay that much attention. So any mistake you are making in silence, they don't know. Okay, unlike when you are trying to learn tech at February 30 or 45 and you are using it as a business, you'll be making mistakes with client projects, and at the end of the day you might lose or gain a bad reputation. So the earlier you start learning it, the better. And also have the impression that tech is not so easy where you just come and expect to learn it in 1 month or 2 months. 6 months you should still be learning. Don't rush it. Okay, and another thing is, if you are learning tech, very important, this is one of the most important parts of learning tech, learn how to market your skill. That's one of the most of the challenge of most developers or
Yeah, yeah,
most tech skill enthusiasts, both video editor, graphics
yeah.
design. They don't know how
Very
to
well.
tell people to come and get to pay for what they do. So they are very sound, they are intelligent, they know how to do what they know how to do, but getting clients is a challenge because they ignore marketing. They think marketing is for arts or social science students. It's for everybody. You need to learn how to attract clients or customers. So watch free tutorials that teach you how to do marketing as well as your tech skill you are learning. Put the two together. Okay, so that would just be my recommendation or advice.
Okay, thank you so much. So in let me say in 30 seconds, can you tell us what you think? There's this normal hype in tech that tech is the new oil well. Um you landing six figures, traveling for freedom
Yeah,
of the and all the
yeah,
leisures, all the
yeah.
um enjoyment attached to it. So what do you have to say? Those money, are they realistic? Are they real or just let me say fiction?
They're actually real. They are real. They are actually people that earn those 6 figures and beyond that. Okay, that's why I said that earlier on. You specialize. Once you specialize and become an expert, that's when you see it to that point. If you learn on the surface, you will not attract the right clients, and in many cases, you will not get partner. Most of those people that earn those figures, they come from networking and recommendation. If you come to me, probably maybe I've gotten to a level where I can actually outsource jobs to you, okay, because of the number of clients I'm getting from my company, and then you come to me that you are into this skill or you are a front-end developer or a cybersecurity expert, then I give you like a project to work on to test your level of proficiency, and you are unable to meet up to the threshold or benchmark that will judge that you are good at what you do, and I get the result at the end of the day, obviously I won't be recommending you to my clients. I can decide to still be outsourcing little jobs that earn little to you, but the major clients that will give you much earning, I won't be outsourced because I will not want you to dent my reputation for my brand. That's because you are not really an expert. You decide to learn on the surface. So in that scenario now, you may feel the tech skill is not paying you as much as it's supposed to pay, but that's because you did not specialize. So you are not really an expert in your field. So you won't be getting those network or recommendation or referral you are supposed to get, which would have earned you the figures that you'll be hearing people claiming about. But the another thing is, tech skill is not the only thing out there that you can earn a living from today. There are other offline skill you can still focus on. Everybody must not be in tech. That's one thing we still need to understand. There's agriculture. Agriculture is still very much booming. So there are many other things you can focus on for your career or for your to pay your bills. You don't necessarily need to, because of the hype in tech, you feel if you are not in tech, you are missing out or you have lost it or you are behind. No. You can be into agriculture, you can be into other area, there is real estate investment. There are many other things you can actually do. You just have to find out what works for you, what you enjoy doing and can actually pay your bills beyond just enjoy doing it. And then you go into it and consider every other thing as either something you will pay attention to later or a distraction you should never even pay attention to in the first place.
Wow. Okay. Before we go into the your career development, because before now we've been following you on all your social media, and we also know that you're also a career development coach. Yeah, because
Yeah,
I came across one of your video where you are talking about in a crowded marketplace standing out. So
yeah,
before we go into that, you mentioned earlier that you are a student of accounting.
yeah.
Yeah. Now, do you have plans of going back to accounting, or is tech the permanent? If you know be tech, I no go. Is tech the all and all now?
Okay. Accounting itself, yeah, but not going back to accounting as a profession or as a career. I will be applying what I actually learned from accounting in my business. So at the point in time, what I have in focus is not just really tech skill. It's a business that I'm trying to establish and make it solid. Okay, so in that business, I utilize my tech skill and also utilize my accounting knowledge and skill for good record keeping and reporting. So I won't be going back to accounting as a career pursuit, but I'll be applying what I've learned in accounting in my business while I'm also utilizing tech skill for the most part.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much for your time. So let's go uh, into the career development. What do you think is one of the challenges facing Nigerian youth or African youth? Is it lack of exposure, or bad leaders, as they said, or lack of focus, lack of determination? What do you think is one of the challenges?
Challenge.
Yes,
And it's a combination of all though. There is the instance of bad leadership, but that's not really entirely an excuse for somebody that is determined. In many cases, it's lack of information and lack of determination. There are a lot of career options and opportunity today. From experience, many persons are relaxed. Is this term I mostly use. Many persons are relaxed, yeah. They are mostly looking for like someone to hold their hand and give them without making much effort. So you often hear excuse of there is no this, there is no, yeah. In as much as leadership is responsible for some of the infrastructure that will make the journey easy, but in the first place, you are not even starting the journey. So the excuse of not having the infrastructure should not even come in. It's when you've started the journey and we are seeing that, okay, the infrastructure is not there. We now know, okay, this blame is going to the leadership. But in many cases, most persons are not making the effort. For instance, those persons that are pursuing a career, majority of them, they have little knowledge on how to prepare a CV or what a CV should be about. Okay, how to prepare a cover or application letter. This is somebody that claims to be looking for a job. So who would you blame in this scenario? Is it really the government? What role should the government play in you learning what a CV is when there is a lot of free resource that you are supposed to use to get that knowledge? So when a job opportunity comes, what do you start doing? You start running around looking for someone to build a CV for you. And even when you find someone that claims to know how to build a CV, the person gives you a CV that may not even meet up to the modern standard, but you cannot judge, you can't tell because you have no knowledge of how a real CV should look like. So there is very little effort. Then there are some persons that they get that links. They get a link sent to them on maybe WhatsApp. Like I've had that experience where I have to share a link. Follow this link and apply for this job or join this platform so you can be getting job updates. They see the message, they will probably, some of them even reply, okay, thank you. But after a week or two, have you joined the group? No. What's your excuse? They don't have an excuse for not joining. And that group or that opportunity was open or has been open, yet you don't make the effort. So in many cases, it's lack of commitment. the lack of information. Many people are not aware. Some persons are applying for some jobs, they are still using traditional means. They are expecting to see banker wanted on a billboard or on a signpost outside the bank. It doesn't work like that in 2025. There are platforms or there are and websites or apps that you are supposed to join to get those sensitive or those confidential openings or applications or opportunities. But when you are not aware, which is the lack of information, you will not be able to join those platforms and get yourself updated. So it's a combination of lack of information, lack of commitment, and in some cases, bad leadership.
Okay, thank you very much so much. So stay in 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 line with what we saw earlier in one of your videos, in
Yeah.
standing out or creating visibility. What way can
Okay.
you, what advice can you, or what way can you suggest that those in tech or in fact in any area of life, how can they, be visible? How can they present, how
Okay.
can they present themselves to those that need their services? Is it through
Okay.
posting through
And
social media, or is it
okay.
posting your work on social media randomly, posting your link,
Mhm.
posting your no how?
Okay, to save the time, it's to actually use what works in today's world for publicity and advertising. If it was some years back, if you want to gain that publicity for your service or for your product that you are into, or maybe you are looking for a job opportunity, maybe you would have actually gone to a newspaper to publish your service, to publish your item, pictures of your item, or to seek for employment opportunity. You would have utilized a newspaper or maybe a magazine, or you would have gone to a radio station to pay for some minutes to air yourself. That would have been the old pattern. But in 2025, the new pattern for visibility is digital platforms, social media. There is YouTube, there is Google, there is TikTok, there is Instagram, there is Facebook. You don't need to be in everywhere, every of those platforms. You just need to, first of all, what area are you pursuing? Are you into service, or are you selling an item, or are you looking for a job? Once you've been able to understand what you are trying to get, the next thing is which platform has the people that you are trying to reach out to. If you are offering a service or an item, you now need to study or research which of these social media or digital platforms have my target audience. Is it LinkedIn? If I'm selling products, do I find my customers on LinkedIn? It's very rare for e-commerce platforms to see their customers on LinkedIn. In many cases, you find your customers on places like Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, and maybe Snapchat. Okay, if you are looking for a job, you most likely will not get it on TikTok, except there are some job pages on TikTok that actually specialize in giving job updates. Where you should be going to if you are looking for a job is places like LinkedIn and X. And then maybe Reddit. That's where you should be opening an account in if you want to gain that visibility. So you first of all choose what you want to achieve. The next thing is choose the platform that has the people that will help you to achieve what you want to achieve, which is your target audience. Then once you've gotten the target audience, how do you engage your target audience? That now comes down to the content. What are the visibility strategies? What should you be sharing that will make them to notice you? Do you need to draw a content calendar of what you'll be posting about your service or your product on a daily basis or on a weekly basis? Or do you need to send cold DMs where you just message them unsolicited? They don't know you, you just drop the message for them. So you have to, it's a matter of research. There is no single answer that do this. If I start saying be posting, be posting, posting will not work for everything. For someone that is looking for a job, you simply posting, posting, posting. No, that's not what you are supposed to do. Your own role or your own responsibility is different from someone that is running a business. As a job seeker, instead of posting and posting and posting, you'll be thinking of joining platforms that instead post for you to react to. And then you should be sending cold DMs and cold emails to companies that have the potential of employing you. For businesses, yeah, posting can come in, but even that posting, it has its own planning or schedule, which can be a topic for another day. So the visibility actually boils down to what you are trying to achieve.
Okay, okay, okay. Thank you so much. We are already rounding up. So
Right.
you've given us your advice. So where can where can we find you? And can you share some of your project with us? Um, yeah, where can we find you? Which social media or platform can
Okay.
we find you? And remember, on this career development, this thing, we will still host you again, because
Okay.
some 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 of us, some of Nigerian youth are very skillful in what
Yeah.
they do. They are experts, but let me say some
Yeah.
are still jobless. And if you ask some, they always say that it's due to they are unable to land foreign gigs or foreign
Yeah. Yeah.
engagement,
That's true. Yeah.
because of trust issue. Because I've
Yeah.
seen
Yeah.
an
Those
occasion where,
stigmatization. Yeah.
yeah, I've seen an occasion where someone sent his CV. He is
Okay.
perfectly fit for the for that position, but
Yeah.
what cost him that position is that he's a
Opportunity.
Nigerian or he's an African. So we will still talk
Okay.
more on that. So, but
No
before that,
problem.
can you share us where your platforms and where we can see you,
Okay.
because our audience are willing to connect with you.
Okay, you will find me on Facebook, Efe Bazunu. You will see my picture on the profile. So you can probably take a screenshot of my face here so you can match it to the picture you see on the profile. Then on Instagram, I don't have a personal account here, it's my business account. You find me with Hire. The same thing with my Facebook page, Higher Enterprises. So either you follow my personal profile, which is mostly preferred because of the posts or content I share on a daily basis. Then on TikTok, you also find me there, Omoefe 010. That's my username. Then on LinkedIn, you would also find me there as well with Omoefe Bazunu. So those are the platforms where you, and then on X, though I'm not very active on X because of the post limit, the threads, the limit to the message you can send with threads post. Okay, but you can also find me there because I do post there once in a while. But actively, if you want to be following my updates, then Facebook and LinkedIn, and also on my WhatsApp status. That's where I share some career tips and also business updates on our services that we render. Then you can also get me. You can actually reach out to me for my contact number if need be.
Okay, thank you so much. And to our audience, you've heard it all. Although I will still drop the link to his Facebook, to his LinkedIn, and also and every other platform in the
Yeah,
in the video. So thank you once again, Omoefe Bazunu,
you're welcome,
for
man. Thank you too.
honoring our invitation. It's really an insightful one. Because to our audience, Omoefe Bazunu is not just a tech guy. He's a tech giant that represents exactly the spirit of innovation. And his vision for technology goes beyond just creating apps. It's about using tech to impact life. So thank
Yeah.
you, Bazunu. And we still hope that we host you again. Thank you once more for honoring us.
Thank you very much.